Hi, Leo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for June of 2020. I'm Jamie Kale Miller here in Berkeley, California, and with me is...
Hey guys, it's Julia Mijas joining from San Francisco.
And we've got news for you today about a couple of eclipses, activity of Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and also a hot degree that we think you need to know about. We're going to start with that Mercury, Venus, Mars stuff. Hey, Julia, what's going on with that stuff for Leo this month?
All right, well, hey Leo. On June 17th, Mercury, the planet of communication, is going retrograde. And this happens about 3 times a year for a few weeks each, so we're used to this cycle for the most part. But it's going to happen in your 12th house. So when Mercury goes retrograde in one of the most sort of secluded houses in the zodiac, it could be a time where you thought you may have figured out some type of issue, and then you realize you really have to revisit it and go through it again. The 12th house can have a lot to deal with self-sacrifice, so maybe you're rethinking how you've sacrificed yourself lately. Then Venus starts this month retrograde in your 11th house of friends, and wherever we have Venus is where we find more pleasure. So you could really, really be enjoying spending time around your friendship circles this month. They're doing FaceTimes together. And then Venus goes direct on June 25th. That means that she's going to, when Venus is retrograde, it's a time where people are often rethinking their relationship issues. So in the 11th house of friends, you might be rethinking your friendships in some way. Then Mars starts the month in Pisces, which is your 8th house. And while Mars is going through the 8th house of other people's money, wherever we have Mars is really where we put our energy and our focus. So you could really be putting a lot of thought and energy towards your investments, shared resources with a partner. Debts are also ruled by the 8th house. And then on June 27th, Mars is going to be entering your 9th house of the higher mind and adventure. And that could be a time where you start feeling really stir crazy, like you just want to go out and have adventures and do something, expand your horizons in some way.
Hey, Julia, I know that Juno and Venus were retrograde together for a while. We had this springtime of relationship retrospection. What do you think about that Venus is now going direct and that Juno is also already direct?
I think that after Venus goes direct on the June 25th, and since Juno has already been direct, that our relationship retrospection period is going to be easing up a lot now.
Yeah, so much better. Relationships can move forward again. We've got a couple of eclipses going on this month too. On June 5th, there is a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, and here it is, Moon in the 5th house, Sun in the 11th house. This one squares Mars, and so I think it's going to be kind of emotionally explosive. There may be a lot of anger that happens around June 5th, and for you, that's falling in the house of creativity and also in the house of friends and the house of intimacy. So there may be some explosions that kind of come up between you and your friends or in your community. And it might be good to have a bucket of water on hand to put out the fires. On the 20th, we have another eclipse. They usually do come in pairs or triples like that. And this one is a solar eclipse in Cancer, which falls in your 12th house. And this goes back to what Julia said earlier about Mercury being in your 12th house, which is a very sort of hidden away place. And eclipses show us our shadow. Solar eclipses in particular often lead to real world physical events outside of ourselves that other people can see. So people might see your shadow, your unconscious, in your behavior. And it's very important to shine a light into every dark corner of your psychology that you can, so that you don't, really make a misstep that you're not even observing. Now then there's another thing I really want to tell you about, which is that back in January, Saturn and Pluto conjuncted in 22 degrees of Capricorn. And Julie and I have really identified that this is the pandemic degree, 22 degrees of Capricorn, which for you falls in your 6th house of work, health, and service. And if you want to know more about it, I do recommend that you check our 2020 news playlist and also our June 2020 playlist to find out more about not only that hot degree, but the course of the pandemic with particular dates when there may be flare-ups of COVID and or angry mobs that you should maybe avoid. And where this is coming down for you more personally is your sixth house of health, work, and service. So definitely pay close attention to your health, please. For us, for you, for everyone, pay close attention to your health, and also expect that how the pandemic affects you might be in the arena of work. Okay, I think that's all we have for you. If you wanted to know more about any of these topics that we've brought up today in this horoscope, a natal and transit reading can answer all of your questions. And we'll see you next month right here on Pandora Astrology's YouTube channel. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.